Yuval Noah Harari, welcome back to our program.
Oh, it's good to be here. Thank you.
Well, these are extraordinary days. I don't know, you have written obviously a lot about history, a lot about what makes us human. Have you seen in modern times, in our technological, economic, globalized society, a crisis quite like this one?
Like this one, not really. I mean, we haven't seen an epidemic, a global epidemic like this for at least 100 years. And really, nobody has a living experience of what we are seeing now, which is part of what makes it so frightening and so alarming. But when you look at the broader perspective of history, then yes, humanity has dealt with many such epidemics before, and we are probably in a better situation than ever before in history to deal with such an outbreak.
Because of?
Because of modern medicine. When the Black Death erupted in the 14th century, so it swept from China to Britain in about 10 years, killing between a quarter and half of the entire population of Asia and Europe, and nobody had any idea what is happening, what is the cause of the disease, and what can be done about it. Today, with the coronavirus epidemic, it took just 2 weeks for scientists and doctors not just to identify the virus behind the outbreak, but also to sequence its entire genome and to develop tests that at least tell us who has the virus and who hasn't. So there is still a way until we overcome this, but we are, as I say, in a better position than in any previous time in history.
But let's not forget that this swept from China to Britain to the United States within a much, much shorter period of just a few months. What, as an ordinary citizen now, frightens you most, or do you wish most could happen to stop the panic at least?
I think the worst thing is the disunity we see in the world, the lack of cooperation and coordination between different countries, and the lack of trust, both between countries and also between the population and the government. This is basically the payday for what we've been seeing in the last few years with the epidemic of fake news and with the deterioration of international relations. If you compare this, for example, to the 2008 financial crisis, which is, of course, a crisis of a different kind, but there are similarities. In 2008, you had responsible adults in the world which took a leadership position, rallied the world behind them, and prevented the worst outcomes. But over the last 4 years, basically, we've seen a rapid deterioration of trust in the international system. The country which was the leader previously, both in the 2008 financial crisis and also in the last big epidemic, the Ebola epidemic in 2014, and that country is the United States, now it's not taking any kind of leadership position. Actually, since 2016, the current administration has made it very clear that the US has resigned its role as world leader. It made it very clear that the US has no longer any friends in the world. It has only interests. And even if now the US, which is not doing so far, but even if it will try to assume a leadership position, nobody would really follow a leader whose motto is me first. So what really frightens me is the lack of leadership and cooperation. And what people should realize is that the spread of the epidemic in any one country threatens the entire world because of the danger that if we don't contain this in time, the virus will evolve. That's maybe one of the worst problems with this kind of epidemic, is actually a rapid evolution of the virus. We saw it before with the 2014 Ebola epidemic. It actually started, the real epidemic started with one genetic mutation in one virus in one person in West Africa, which turned Ebola from a relatively rare disease into a raging epidemic, because this single mutation increased the contagiousness of the virus 4 times. Now, this could be happening right now, somewhere in Iran or in Italy or anywhere else, and wherever it happens, it endangers the entire world. So humanity needs to close ranks against the viruses.